units in any way that you guys want to make equivalent measurements. So I'm going to give you guys an example now. So let's say they give us an example. It says 30 minutes is 1/2 of an hour. So I can use the number 30. So I can say 30 and then use the unit minute, 30 minutes is equal to 1/2 of an hour. Okay, so that's an equivalent measurement. Now I'll give you guys another example, so we can use any of these however you want. And I will tell you that first period we were able to come up with 10 different equivalent measurements. So I want you guys to come up with as many as you can. But let's say another easy one would be like 12. If I start with 12, I could say 12 inches equals what?
1 foot.
Yep, so then I can use the number 1.
But there's feet.
And it's feet, but we can use the singular form of feet, which is foot. So 1 foot. So you can change the word to, yeah, it could be hour or hours or meter or meters. You can make it plural or singular. So I've given you 2 examples here, and you guys can write my examples down. And I want you guys to come up with as many different equivalent measurements as you can using only these numbers and these words. And a helpful hint, if you remember when we were measuring all the measurements in the room for our group project, we used those meter sticks, and every time you placed 1 meter stick down, it was how many centimeters?
100.
There you go, that can help you, okay? So,
But there's not 100 on there.
well, there's not, but there's a lot of things like 0.4 and things like 0.3 and 0.01 as a hint. Okay, so come up with as many of those as you can. You ready, set, go. On your own.
Everyone said that.
Yeah, that one works. All right, so think about how many minutes are in an hour. Think about how many inches are in a foot. Think about how many centimeters are in a meter. And then use the decimals and fractions too. You can use
the words
like,
more than once.
yes, you can use all the words and all the numbers as many times as you want. And so when you're thinking about centimeters and meters, there's 100 centimeters in a meter, and you guys mentioned there's no 100 up there, but if you were to look at 1/2 of a meter, that would be 1/2 of 100 centimeters. Oh, that's one up there. And you shouldn't need calculators on this first. You should be able to do this. Yeah. Feet and inches. Think about if you had more than 1 foot. If you had, see the number 2 up there, 2 feet. Maybe figure out how many inches that is, because that number's up there as well. You can use any of those words. Again, we found 20, so you have to write them down too. You can't just circle them. Or sorry, I meant there are 10 that we found. There might be more, but we found 10 in first period.
Well, this is the first one.
Yeah, this is third.
Yeah, this is third.
I know, so you guys are 3 times as good.
Oh, dang.
Really?
You just called us better than that.
Because I
You wish. When? I didn't use advisory. Huh.
All right, let's start filling these in. Junior, can you give me one equivalent measurement that you found?
60 minutes equals an hour.
Okay, so we use, nice, that one works. Yeah, 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. Nice, that's a good one. Okay, Anna, what's another one you got?
6 feet is half of a foot.
6 inches, yeah, 6 inches equals 1/2 of a foot. I agree. All right, Nora, what's another one?
60 centimeters plus 40 centimeters equal 1 meter.
Oh, that's an interesting way to do that. Okay, no one's done that one yet. So if you use two of the numbers by adding them together, 60 centimeters plus 40 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. Nice, that's a creative way to use two numbers to come up with a different number. Sienna, what'd you say? 2 feet equals 24 inches. That's a good one. Okay, Nora's got another one. What do you got?
50 centimeters equals half a meter.
Yeah, 50 centimeters is equal to 1/2 of a meter. Nice. Riley, what's another one?
30 minutes equals half an hour.
30 minutes equals 1/2 of 1 hour. Nice. Any other ones you guys have? Okay, Riley's got some more. What else you got?
1/5 of an hour. I don't know. I was trying to match up 1/5 and 5th.
Okay, you were trying to match up with 1/5 with what?
With 50.
With 50? Okay, you might be able to do that. Does anyone else have any other ones that you guys found? What'd you get, Cloud?
I said that, 40 plus, wait. I forgot it.
Okay. Let's see. You guys got a lot of them. Let's see if I can figure out any other ones. So anytime we have this decimal, oh, Nora has one. What'd you get?
So I got 1.5 hours equals 60 plus 30 minutes.
Okay, yeah, that one will work too. Nice. I like how you're being creative and adding two numbers together. So you can use the number 1 and the number 1/2. 1.5 hours. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Hours is equal to 60 plus 30 minutes. Yeah, that one works. So here's some ones that you might not have thought of, but for example, 0.3. So 0.3 is 3/10, and if I'm converting from centimeters to meters, I know that I can take 0.3 meters, 0.3 meters, and that's 1/10 of a meter is actually going to be equal to 30 centimeters. So that's one. And then if we're using that decimal, then we can use this other decimal too, 0.4. How many, if I have 0.4 meters, how many centimeters is that going to be equal to? I think I heard someone say it, 40 centimeters, yep. And then let's see, oh yeah, and then if I had 1 centimeter, I know that's going to be equal to 0.01 meters. That's another way I can use 0.01. And I think we've used most of them so far. One that was really kind of, I don't think anyone got this one, but because I was like, how can I use this 3 1/3? Why do they have that here? Well, here's how I found a way to use that one. If I use 3 1/3 feet, okay, so that would be 3 feet plus another third of a foot. Remember, there are 12 inches in a foot. So that would be how many inches?
4.
40 inches, right? Yeah, 40 inches. So we came up with a bunch, actually. So we came up with quite a few. Yeah.
I have one more.
Okay, what do you have?
1 centimeter plus 6 centimeters plus 2 centimeters plus 12 centimeters plus 30 centimeters is 51 centimeters minus 1 centimeter.
I guess that works, yeah. Shane was able to use like basically every number in there to add them all together. Okay, last one, Riley.
2 feet is equal to 24 inches.
Yep, I think we got that one right here. But yes, that is correct. That is one. All right, so a lot of different conversions. That's what we're going to be working with in the first part of this lesson. So the first part right here is 3.2 says centimeters and millimeters. Now we're going to continue talking about proportional relationships, and there is a proportional relationship between any length measured in centimeters and that same length when it's measured in millimeters. Okay, so I don't know if it's on the next page for you guys, but for me it's the next page, and it says there are two ways of thinking about this proportional relationship. Because whenever we talk about proportional relationships, remember that the thing that to look for is that we have a constant of proportionality. That constant of proportionality is what you multiply one side by to get to the other. Now, for this problem, for number 1 and number 2, they've reversed it. So in the first table, they start with length in centimeters, and then we need to be able to figure out what that length is in millimeters. So you need to be able to figure out what I multiply this side by to get to millimeters. And remember, there are there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. Okay. So after you filled out the table for number 1, then you need to look at number 2, because number 2 is the exact opposite. Number 2, they give us millimeters, and then we need to convert that back into centimeters. Okay. So in 1, you're going centimeters to millimeters, and it's getting bigger. And on the other one, you're starting with millimeters going back to centimeters, and the number's going to get smaller. So I'll let you guys use calculators on today's lesson, but on your own, I want you guys to fill in these 2 tables. Ready, set, go. And if you borrow a calculator from me, please don't steal it. You right back. After you go to the table, absolutely. On the next page.
Oh my god.
Okay, let's take a look at this here. Let's get to work. So look at this one. So centimeters, millimeters. So there's 10 millimeters for every 1 centimeter. So if it was... Yeah, nice. Good job. Remember, when you multiply a number by 10, you just move the decimal once to the right. If you divide a number by 10, you move that decimal once to the left. So I want you guys filling out this table on your own. So look at this. If there's 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter, what do I do to get from centimeter? Yes, keep going. So you're multiplying everything by 10. Remember, when you multiply by 10, you move the decimal point once to the right. Well, that one's different because that one they give you millimeters, and you're trying to get centimeters. So if I went from centimeters to millimeters and I multiply by 10, how do I get back?
Do we do number 3 too?
No, to get back, you have to do the opposite. So divide by 10. Yes, you're going to take all of these divided by 10. That's going to give you centimeters. Yes. Exactly. Right, yeah. Yeah. Like, think about it. The decimal point just look right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But if you go this way, you multiply. So you're dividing by now.
This is the same number though. 12.5, 12.5, you gotta multiply by 10. So it'd be, no, when you multiply by 10, you move the decimal point once to the right. So it starts here, move it here, so it'd be 105. Yeah. And then, same thing, if this is the decimal point right here, you move it one right, so it's 0, it'd be 500.
Is it me? No.
Okay, let's go through these answers here. So I need everyone's eyes up here. And you guys, if you don't have this table, both these tables filled in, you can fill them in as I go through the answers up here. So first off, if I'm given any number of centimeters, Shane, what do I have to multiply that by to figure out the equivalent number of millimeters? Exactly, we're multiplying by 10 to get from centimeters to millimeters. That means I have to do the same thing every row of this table, multiplying by 10. And like I was giving you guys that hint, whenever you multiply by 10, you just move the decimal point once to the right. So if it's 9 centimeters, how many millimeters is that, Burke?
That's 90.
90, good. 9 times 10 is 90. All right. If I have 12.5 centimeters, Angela, how many millimeters is that?
125.
Yep, 125. Good job. You just move the decimal. Yep, 0.0, exactly. So we can just move the decimal once to the right there. All right, now if I have 50 centimeters, Angelina, how many millimeters is that going to be? It would be 500. Yeah, exactly. 500. Okay? Next, if I have 88.49 centimeters, Eden, how many millimeters is that going to be?
4.9.
It would be, yeah, move it once to the right, and it would be 884.9 millimeters. Good. Okay, so we know that to get from centimeters to millimeters, we multiply by 10. But now, if we're going to go from millimeters back to centimeters, we kind of have to do like the opposite of multiplying by 10, which is what, Anna? If I multiplied by 10 to get from centimeters to millimeters, how do I get from, for example, 90 millimeters back to 9? Divide by 10. Yes, nice. Good job. Divide by 10. So that's what we're going to do on this second one. So if I have 70 millimeters, I'm going to divide that by 10 to find the amount of centimeters. And Jocelyn, if I have 70 millimeters, how many centimeters is that going to be? 7. Good. Nice. Good job. Okay. Now if I have 245 millimeters, Cloud, how many centimeters is that going to be?
That will be 24.5.
24.5, exactly. I find the decimal, which is right here, and if I'm dividing by 10, I just move it once to the left, and that would be 24.5. Okay, now if I have 4 millimeters, then Emma, how many centimeters is that going to be?
0.4.
Yeah, 0.4 millimeters. Good. Last one, 699.1 millimeters. JJ, how many centimeters is that going to be?
69.9.
Yeah, 69.91 centimeters. Okay, so for number 3,
Wait, I have a question.
okay, question, Angela.
What if we had meters and kilometers? Would meters and kilometers be times by 10?
So that's a good question. The question was, what if we were comparing meters and kilometers? Well, how many meters are there in a kilometer?
1,000.
1,000. Okay, so then the constant of proportionality would be 1,000. So we multiply by 1,000 to get from meters to kilometers, and then we would divide by 1,000 to get from kilometers back to...
Times and divide by 1,000.
Yes, yes. So for this first table up here, we multiplied everything by 10. For this second table, we divided everything by 10. So what I want you guys to do is talk to your table partners about, remember, the constant of proportionality is what you do every single time to get from the left to the right-hand side of a table. So talk to table partners about how do these two constants of proportionality, how are they related to each other? Okay, talk to each other. Ready, set, go. Okay, who feels like they have a good explanation for how these two constants of proportionality are related to each other? How are these two related to each other? Let's hear from Olivia. What did you say? How are these two constants of proportionality related to each other? So one we multiply by 10, the other one we divide by 10. How are they related? Do you see anything in common between divide by 10 and multiply by 10? They both have 10, okay? Yeah, so they both have 10, but in one table we're multiplying by 10, and the other one we're dividing by 10. So it's kind of like, and you guys will get into this when we talk about algebra, the one way to undo multiplication is to divide, right? So let me give you guys an example. So everyone listen up. If I have 3 times 2 is 6. I'm using the number 3, Richter. the number 2, and the number 6. 3 times 2 is 6. Then if I start with 6, I can divide that by 3 to get back to 2. Okay? It's just basic fact families. So yeah, that's how these two constants of proportionality are related to each other. Okay? All right. Number 4. To convert from centimeters to millimeters, that's our first one, we can multiply by what, Nora? To convert from centimeters to millimeters, we multiply by what?
10.
We multiply by 10, yes. Okay, now B, to convert from millimeters to centimeters, we divide by what, Morgan?
10.
Yeah, exactly, okay. Now, bonus question, does anyone know if I was going to turn this into a multiplication problem, what would I have to multiply millimeters by to get to centimeters? Anyone know that? What do you think, Nora?
I think it's 0.1.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, we could multiply by 0.1, or that is the same thing as multiplying by 1/10. Multiplying by 1/10 is the same thing as dividing by 10. Nice, good job, Nora. Okay. Here we go. We're going to go on to the next question. Next question, we're going to skip to 3.3 where it says Pittsburgh to Phoenix. Pittsburgh to Phoenix. So everyone needs to be on the page where I believe there's a map at the bottom and then the actual questions are on the next page. But let's just look at the map for right now. Okay. So we all should be on page 23. Page 23. Victor. And on page 23, we see there's a map of the United States. Richter, go sit back there. Thank you. Okay, so it says on its way back from New York to San Diego. So that means it's starting way over here on the East Coast. And this plane is flying all the way to San Diego. It's going across the country. And on the way, it flew over Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Albuquerque, and Phoenix. Now it's traveling at a constant speed. That's really important. Constant speed. Now, if it's traveling at a constant speed, that tells us that this is a proportional relationship. This is a proportional relationship between time and distance. Time and distance. That's the proportional relationship we're looking at here. So now, our job is to complete the table on the next page. So everyone flip to the next page so you can see the table. All right, and I want to get you guys started here, and then I'll let you guys finish on your own. But it says that from Pittsburgh to St. Louis, it took this airplane 1 hour to travel a distance of 550 miles. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is figure out this plane's speed. So in speed, we're going to try to figure out how many miles per hour it goes. So, Cloud, I heard you say it, but what's its speed?
550 miles per hour.
Exactly, yeah, it's that simple. It just goes 550 miles every hour. And then it said it's traveling at a constant speed. Now, if it's traveling at a constant speed, that means the speed doesn't change at all. So from St. Louis to Albuquerque, Josh, what's its speed?
550.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't change, so it's still going 550 miles per hour. Okay, now the speed down here, if it's going from Albuquerque to Phoenix and the speed never changes, then Sienna, what's its speed from Albuquerque to Phoenix? Yeah, 550 miles per hour. All right, so the next thing we need to do is figure out what is the constant of proportionality. Remember, the constant of proportionality is what we are going to multiply time by to get to distance. So what I want you guys to do is talk to your shoulder partners about what the constant of proportionality is. In other words, what do I multiply time by to get to distance? Okay, talk to your shoulder partners. Ready, set, go. So in other words, 1 times blank equals 550. Fill in the blank.
Blank is 5.
Ooh.
Is that right? Did you pick my spin? You should pick my spin.
Okay, I want to hear from Vollendorf. In the back there, what did you guys say? What's the constant of proportionality? 550, exactly. So we multiply in every one of these rows, we're going to multiply time by 550 to figure out distance. That's the constant of proportionality because it's going to be constant. We're going to multiply by the same thing every time. Always multiplying by 550, or its speed. Okay? Now, if that is the case, then we have enough information to fill in these boxes. But here is where we're going to get tripped up. It says an hour and 42 minutes. So I can...
So would we make it like 102?
So I can already hear that some people are going to say, well, we're just going to do 1.42 times 550. Well, how come I can't do 1.42 times 550? Bollendorf.
Because 42 is still a whole number. And 60.
Yeah, so 42 is a whole number. It's a part of an hour, but there's 60 minutes in an hour, not 100 minutes in an hour. So we need to convert 1 hour, 42 minutes into a number of hours. So it's going to be 1 point something hours. 1 point something hours. So 42 minutes is a fraction of an hour. Now, how many minutes are there in an hour again?
60.
There are 60. So we know that 42 minutes, I'm just going to do this on the side over here.
1.7.
42 minutes is 42 out of 60. Okay, now that fraction can be reduced, 42 out of 60. And if I were to reduce that fraction, it would actually be 7/10. So we know that this 42 minutes is 7/10 of an hour. Now, what's another way that I could write 7/10 as a decimal? What do you think? Yeah?
0.7.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same as 0.7. So I'm going to change an hour and 42 minutes. It's going to be tough because they took up most of the box here, but I'm going to say 1 stays the same. It's 1 hour, 0.7 of another. So that's 1.7 hours.
Can I tell you the answer?
And given that, now I'm going to give you guys, and I'm going to let you guys work with your shoulder partners, with your table partners, to fill in both of these blanks. And then I want you guys to answer number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. You guys think you can do that? Okay, you can use calculators, you can talk to your shoulder partner. I want you guys to answer these 4 questions. Ready, set, go.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Is it
Yes. How's that?
Is that the
935. It is 4 to 935 what? Miles. Good. Okay. Okay. So, okay. So we got 935. How'd you miss it? How did you miss 935? Oh, yeah, look at this. What was the information I gave you? So, how you ready for working 1 hour 42 minutes and just an hour? So what should I rate for you ready?
Wait, just an hour?
Look at this. Instead of 1 hour 42 minutes, I rewrote it as 1.7 hours.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah, 1.7 hours. So then what's the constant of proportionality? In other words, what am I multiplying time by? Exactly. So I give you time here, 1.7. So you're going to take the calculator. And you're going to multiply 1.7 by what? Boom. Go ahead and do it, just to check to make sure you guys are right. Okay, how are we doing here? Let's say 425? 425? 935. How do you do that? Yeah. Nice job. Okay.
No.
46 an hour. Here's my challenge to you. Can you do our calculator? 46 an hour.
Mr. Simmons, why did they set up like this? Like, there was a group for it over here, but they chose not to put it there. Why is there such big spaces?
I think that they want to give you guys, so that says, oh, that one, I don't know, that's a good question.
Because there's like they're like, okay, so there's like a whole page, and then a whole other, it's like yesterday, it was 1, 2, and 5, and it was like 1, 2, and then a
Big
big
old gap
space,
between five,
and then
yeah.
5 was over here. I was like, what?
Yeah, so, give you a bunch of information right then, give you a little hint. So what is 1 hour 42 minutes in just hours? What did I
I'll buy it.
No, look at this. It's up on the board, man. Look how much I have written up there. Look how much I have written up there and how much you have written. Yeah. So that's 1.7. And what's the constant of proportionality?
I'll buy it.
550. So what am I going to do to figure out how far it is?
I already bought it.
So first of all, right, 1.7.
This is more.
Okay, so the constant of proportionality is 550.
Actually, that's way less, but.
That means everything on the left-hand side is multiplied by 5. So what do you need to do is 1.7. Yeah, go ahead and do it.
have America in my hand.
Okay, Jocelyn, how you doing?
12, so I don't know why.
Okay, with 1.7, that's good. What's the constant of proportionality? The constant of proportionality is what we multiply every one by. What do we multiply by? It should be 550.
I already bought it.
70 multiplied by 550, that's going to tell you what it is. You finish it?
What did you just say?
For this one, I don't buy it. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Well, what do you think it is? What do you think the constant of proportionality is?
Jeremy.
Okay, guys, we need to go through this together here. So, everyone, voices off, eyes up here. Let's go through this. So, just to review, the constant, Cloud, listen up. The constant of proportionality, it's kind of a fancy term there, but the constant of proportionality is what we multiply the left-hand side, or in this case, time by to get to distance. So what is the constant of proportionality, Riley?
550.
Yes, the constant of proportionality is 550 because it's constant. We're multiplying everything on the left by 550. So if that's the case, then how far, what's the distance between St. Louis and Albuquerque if you're flying? Isis? 935 what? Miles. Yeah, nice. Good job. So it's 935 miles. And we got that because we took 1.7 hours, multiplied it by 550 to get 935 miles. All right. So if we are multiplying time by 550 to get to distance, then we need to reverse that to figure out what are we going to do to distance to get back to time. What do you think, Angel? Angel's not in here right now. Gregory, what are we going to do to get from distance back to time? No, we multiplied by time by 550 to get to distance, so we're working backwards. So we got to divide by what, Gregory?
550.
Exactly. So to get back, remember, division, it's kind of like the opposite. It reverses multiplication. So we're going to divide by 550. And if I take 330 and divide it by 550, Richter, what'd you get? Did you get it? No. Okay, let's hear from Catherine. What'd you get?
I got an hour or 1.6 or an hour and 6 minutes.
1.6, but I don't know. When I take my calculator and I take 330 and I divide it by 550, I get 0.6, not 1.6. Raise your hand if you guys got 0.6. Yeah, so that's 0.6, but it's 0.6 what? 0.6 what? What is the unit I need to have, Josh?
Hours.
Hours, I would agree. So that's 0.6 hours. And that's a good enough answer because we're trying to find it in hours. But was anyone able to find it in minutes?
32.
I don't think it's 32 minutes. You're close. Shane, what'd you get? More than 10 minutes. Because think about it. This is 0.6 hours. So 0.6 is greater than 0.5. And 0.5 is a half. And a half an hour is 30 minutes. So it's got to be more than 30 minutes. JJ, what'd you get? Less than 40.
37.
35.
You guys are just giving out random answers. I haven't heard it yet. It's actually 36 minutes. The way we can do that is take 0.6 and multiply it by 60 because there are 60 minutes in an hour. So 0.6 hours is the same thing as 36 minutes.